I was 58 when I was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer out of the blue. It was just an ordinary mammogram, and that just kind of turned things upside down.
Welcome to Mother Nature's Doctor, the podcast where ancient wisdom meets modern wellness. Hosted by Dr. April Schulte, a specialist in Chinese medicine, this show explores the power of nature as the ultimate healer. Each week, Dr. Schulte dives into a new health topic, revealing how holistic practices, herbal medicine, and time-tested natural remedies can help you live a healthier, more balanced life. Get ready to nourish your body, calm your mind, and reconnect with the wisdom of Mother Nature.
Thank you for joining me on the Mother Nature's Doctor podcast. This is April Schulte coming at you with a very special story with someone who touches my heart tremendously, someone I've had the honor of walking the path of healing, Ms. Rose Varner. Gosh, I feel honored that you have allowed me to be part of your healing journey, and I feel inspired to bring you to our audience members because you do have an inspirational story. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Would you just tell us a little bit about you and your life, and then we'll get into a little bit about your healing journey?
Well, I'm a wife and a mother and a retired teacher. I have spent my life just, being busy and trying to do things for others. And then I retired from teaching and I thought life would calm down and it didn't. And I was 58 when I was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer out of the blue. It was just an ordinary mammogram. And that just kind of turned things upside down. So life as I knew it kind of changed then.
How long ago was that diagnosis?
That was, let's see, that was in December of 2024. And I started treatment January of 2025. Or no, I'm sorry, December 2023. Went through treatment 2024. And then I just finished treatment last April. So treatment finished, the side effects and, the lingering things from the cancer treatment did not stop. And so that was kind of eye-opening for me.
Lots of times we think of the cancer diagnosis as something, of course, no one wants to hear you are being diagnosed with cancer. It feels like such an ominous diagnosis. However, I have watched you turn that diagnosis on a complete 180 and turn that thing right upside down and make it something that has turned into a win for yourself. Would you agree with that?
I would. I know when I was diagnosed, it was very scary. We weren't sure what we were doing, where to go, how to proceed. Once we started getting the information, then it was very easy to focus. And my treatment was kind of broke up into 4 parts. So it was very easy to focus on, okay, the first part was chemo, get through chemo, then surgery, then radiation. And then the last part was infusions. And I had quite a few of those. And that's when I started thinking, I don't feel well. I have low energy. There was things that I felt could be better. And so a lot of people I had talked to had pointed me to Healing Horizons. I had a friend that came and spent quite a bit of time with you. My husband's coworker, my son's boss, he had cancer, had great response with the neuropathy. So I called, and this was in December of 2024. And I called and I talked to April at the front desk. And she was so kind and patient and just answered all my questions. And I finally kind of had that, I think I found where I'm supposed to be. And then I had my first appointment, and I was a hot mess that day. I was late. I didn't feel well. I went to the wrong place. I walked in, and there was April again, just calm and smiling and just, helped me relax. And then I met you, and you listened and you were so kind, and it gave me hope. It was like the first, I know I can feel better. I was so thankful to my cancer team. They were wonderful. And I had a team, and everyone was just kind and loving and just supportive. And that's what I felt like I would get here. The first day I talked to you was, this is a team. This is, it's not just one place, and then I go one place for something, and then I'd have to find another doctor for something else. Like, this was a team that would meet and care and would be able to, support me in my health journey. So at that point, I decided I'm going to invest into a year-long health journey, and I'm going to do what I can do within my power, within my finances to be the best I can be at the end of of that year. Like, I wanted to be able to plan trips and, play with my grandkids and just do things on a whim. And I hadn't been able to do that for a while, and I'm at that place now.
You've touched on several important key factors I would like to highlight, and one of them is you felt hope. And I often describe that hope for all of us on our healing journeys, and we feel so down and out that we're not even sure where up is. That hope can sort of be like a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, that you can start to see a little bit of light, and then we sort of know what direction to go in with our healing journey. But until we see that light, it can be hard to find. And also, you touched on common physical symptoms that go alongside cancer and cancer treatment. Neuropathy was a big thing for you, and we worked on some digestion. We also worked on a lot of emotional connections, if you will, specifically as it relates to the GI tract. And you have been a very willing healing partner in looking at how your emotions can fit into your physical signs and symptoms. Which leads me to my question, how did the diagnosis feel more on a soul level? And then also, how does healing now from that journey, your healing journey, what does that mean to you on a soul level?
Um, s Getting diagnosed was soul crushing. Like, it was just hard to wrap our head around, and, the first thought I had, my husband and I found out on a Friday. We saw the report, and we sat with it all weekend, and I kept thinking, "How am I gonna tell my kids?" My kids are grown, they have their own lives. How am I gonna tell my kids? And that was the hardest thing for me. So it was very soul crushing and just not knowing. Once we found out that, the prognosis was pretty good, that helped me to focus on my healing. But when I got to that last part, I really thought when I'm done with cancer treatment, like, 3 months, I'll be back to, doing things like I always did, and that was not the case. But when I started here, I really came for the neuropathy, and I noticed my gut health first, like my digestion, that stuff started to improve. My blood levels were very low, the white and red blood levels. You had started me on some supplements, and I mean, it was amazing to watch what they did over the months. And I was really feeling like I was getting that motivation moving forward. I was very hopeful, very, positive, feeling very positive about things. And then last February, had an event that happened that just threw me into a tailspin. I was an emotional wreck. My anxiety was high. I would cry at the drop of a hat. I couldn't eat. I wasn't sleeping well. And it just kind of turned all those things around, and everything that we had been working for, my gut went right back. And that's was the key. I didn't even realize that, all the years of stuffing those emotions down. You're a wife, a mother, as a teacher. I mean, you just stuffed the stuff down because you didn't have time to deal with it, and was very surprised when it came up like, I don't know, I don't even know how to describe it, but it was definitely time to make a change, and, doing things the way I had always done didn't work because it was still there.
Did that experience of feeling those emotions and recognizing that you had stuffed them in the past change your understanding of what healing involves?
Yes. I did not make the gut emotional connection, at all until I was, feeling better from my cancer treatment, and then that just threw my body into, I was very anxious, that fight or flight. I was having I just couldn't do much. And, yeah, my gut was a mess again. And once I started seeing Dr. King, and making that connection there and really trying to do the work to be kind to myself, to stop and recognize those feelings. Like, if you have to make an immediate decision on something, it's probably a no. Because if I don't have time to kind of sit with it and think with it, for a little bit, then it's probably going to be a no for me.
You started working with a counselor, and did that help you understand those little nudges inside your body to help guide your healing? And what did they feel like?
Yes, it very much did because I just felt like there was situations in my life that I just had to do. You know, I had to accept certain things. Um, and then I started realizing I did not. I could be kind to myself. I could set boundaries, even for people that it's hard for them to, adhere to your boundaries. I still have some people like that. To nurture those two-way relationships. I really started to recognize that, I was a people pleaser and there was relationships that were not good for me. And so it was good to recognize those things, be kind to myself, and try to practice them. Now that took a while.
It takes a lot of practice.
It did. It did. And I think the biggest part that I took from that is that I can say no, I can set boundaries, but to do it kindly. And sometimes that takes a couple days to sit with something to be able to respond with kindness, but still respect yourself, still respect your boundaries, but do it in kindness instead of anger or, that knee jerk reaction sometimes.
Being kind in your boundary setting is the optimal, ultimate way of being self kind and self loving. And I've watched you do it, and it has certainly been inspiring. I'm going to throw a question out there. I'm realizing I've never asked you this. So I'll surprise you on the podcast.
That's okay.
Would you say, looking back, that some of your symptoms that you had prior to your cancer diagnosis, and I'm talking about physical symptoms, but also emotional symptoms, led you to the diagnosis in some sort of way, and then through the diagnosis to healing?
Yes. I've always had stomach issues, and, in my 50s, it seemed like every 2 years there was something that was, being replaced or mended or, back surgery, a knee replacement, a thyroid disorder, that Hashimoto's, and so I had an autoimmune disorder. And so it seemed like I was just, like, getting my feet back from one thing, and then something else was coming, right on its heels. Um and I noticed through all that stuff, a lot of my gut health was not there, my bowel health was not there. I, was exercising, I was trying to I think, a lot of the anxiety and stress that I was feeling, I was trying to exercise away. I was trying to, be busy and, just not deal with it. And so, yes, it was there. My cancer treatment was kind of a break from a lot of that. I focused on, my treatment. I focused on getting well. And then as I was getting there, it brought all those other things back that had been put on the back burner for a while.
It's been said that our body will speak louder and louder through symptoms, and that will keep knocking louder and louder until we listen and make a change. And not everyone actually will listen. And you chose to listen to that. Eventually, you were able to, even though you didn't maybe hear the cues in the beginning, eventually you chose to listen. What do you think inspired you to make that choice?
I was tired of feeling that way. I was tired of that anxious response to a lot of things that were in my life, that I knew weren't going away, and so I knew I had to make a change because the things that were making me anxious or stressing me out weren't changing, and so I had to make a change. I turned 60 last summer, and I didn't wanna spend my decade in the '60s the way I spent my decade in the '50s, and I wanted to be as healthy as I could, and that was, mentally, my mental health as well as my physical health, and just recognizing those 2 go hand in hand and that, stress can do a number on you.
Stress is real. They say it serves as a magnifying glass often. And when we are able to tune in to what our body does under certain emotions. So, for example, if you are feeling upset about something, I ask my clients often, well, if you're feeling upset, where in your body do you feel upset? And so some people look at me like, what are you even talking about, you weird, crazy lady doctor? And other people say that's an interesting question, and they have the ability to take a moment, close their eyes, take a deep breath, look inside, and say, I feel that in my chest, or I feel it in my gut, or I feel it in my lower back. And when we're able to tune in to where we feel emotions in our body physically, it's one of the very first steps that we can take to understand how to heal and what healing is actually going to involve. And you've done it so beautifully.
I know those spots and and when I feel them.
What role would you say your faith and spirituality has played in your healing?
A big part. I definitely believe in God. I'm more spiritual out in the outdoors. I don't go to church on a regular basis, but I have a deep faith. Um, and I had to believe in something bigger than myself. I had to accept help, and I just had to put my trust into knowing that things were gonna be okay, and I just needed to, focus on my health, and my care team, my cancer care team was wonderful, from the girls that checked us in to, all the infusion nurses, my doctors, my nurse navigator, she was just incredible, and so they took care of everything. I just focused on my health. And so I had to put my trust in them. I had to put my trust in, higher power. And it was the same feeling when I came here. I felt like, okay, this is a comfortable place. This is what I need. And I could put my trust here. And I knew that, if you talked to any of the other doctors, that it was with my, well being at the center of it. And I just felt that it was the right move. Like I could trust and have hope.
I often say that healing happens when the nervous system is in a relaxed state. That the space that is created by the nervous system actually letting go and finding calmness and peace is literally where healing happens. And if we're feeling super uptight and super stressed, it's more challenging to get in there for the healing to happen. And I'm hearing you say that your teams have really made the difference for you. You felt comfortable enough. And with that in mind, I'd like to encourage all of our listeners to do the very same thing for themselves. Whenever you are confronted or given the opportunity to find a healing team, it is so important that you do feel comfortable with your healing team. Know that you have options. It's rare that you have to make a split minute, like a quick second, like decision to find a medical team. It's okay to take a deep breath and find that. And then you were able to continue to find that healing calmness in your nervous system with your connection with your faith, your spirituality outside in nature, where we often heal. Mother Nature's doctors, we're called that for a reason. That's where we heal, most definitely. So, what are you doing differently now in your life to perpetuate what you've learned?
Well, we adopted a dog while I was going through cancer treatment, which I did not think was going to happen, wasn't supposed to happen. And that was a really good making me get up in the morning, even when I didn't feel well, didn't have the energy, and I knew this four-legged sweetheart was waiting for me. And every morning, that's how we start our day. We get up, we go hike in the hills, and that kind of grounds me. And I just am kinder to myself. If I don't have the energy to mop my floors that day, they'll be there tomorrow. I also kind of work my day around exercise, something that I enjoy and I want to do so I can get stronger. Um, and I like to bake and cook. So I try to structure my days with things that I enjoy. Some things, yes, you have to do, but a balance. So it's not that stress of, oh, I have to get all these things done. No, I don't. Those have to, should haves. I need to those I've changed that, with the help of you and Dr. King, changed that wording around, so I'm just more balanced. I think I'm, a better wife, a better mother, a better friend, and I've tried to be more accepting rather than expecting, and that was a big shift for me, just going through being a teacher, very structured, you have expectations, and sometimes that sets you up for failure. So I try to be more accepting than expecting.
Thank you for sharing that. You hadn't shared the accepting more than expecting aspect with me before. That's really interesting. And you've been more accepting of yourself in the process.
I have. Yeah, my nutrition has changed. I eat for nutrition. I'm heavier than I probably ever have been, but I'm also stronger than I've been in the last several years. My daughter and I took a hiking trip to Sedona. I was able to, climb the rock scrambles, and we hiked 4 out of 5 days. I was able to do things that my body hadn't been able to do for a couple of years. And so I try to appreciate what my body brought me through instead of, a number on the scale or and just try to get stronger and healthier each day and not really set a, hard and stone goal.
To recognize that our value is not about the number on the scale, but really, truly how we feel and how we feel emotionally, physically, and spiritually. And since our audience can't see you, I'm happy to share that you are in very good shape. Certainly, you are in very good shape. And it's so fun to kind of watch your spirit glow over this time. You literally radiate health. And I know our audience can feel that as they listen to you talk. What message would you choose to share with someone also kind of maybe just getting started in this healing path?
I think to listen to your body and, find that fit. Like, if you want to be healthier, like, find that team. I mean, that team was so important for me versus going from doctor office to spa. And I wanted to do things that were healthy. I mean, I needed those cancer drugs to get me to this point, but it really took a number on my body. I mean, inside and out. I lost my hair, my skin changed, my face aged. I gained weight. Those were things that weren't important at the time, but as I got, feeling better, they became, important to me. And being able to find a place where I could get acupuncture, where I could get, the supplements that I needed, things that weren't going to harm me, but help me. And that was important for me. So I would say, look at something outside the traditional. And my cancer doctors, my doctor that takes care of my knee, they have all been very supportive of the acupuncture and I don't want to say alternative medicine, but a balance of of both. And I think that that was um, important for me. I mean, it was good to hear, but it was also, like, yes, you're going in the right path. You know, they were very accepting of that, very encouraging of that. And they, in fact, were the ones that, um, told me about trying acupuncture for my neuropathy. So I think just keep looking. Like, if you don't feel yourself, there is help out there, and find it. For me, it was finding a team and a place where I could just feel hopeful again.
Lately, I've been reflecting on how important it is when we look in the mirror that we recognize the person staring back at us. And I feel like you found that when you look in the mirror, you must see yourself again.
I do. I did AccuLift with you, and that just helped me, kind of help my skin, feel better. Helped me feel better in my skin, I guess. And it wasn't, injecting anything. It was a natural way of just promoting the collagen. Um, being 60, I know that there isn't a lot of it, but it did give me a glow that I didn't have before from, and I just felt like I took a year to do all the things that I could do in a natural, healthy way to help me be where I am today and being able to move forward in life. I didn't want cancer to be my personality or my identity. That's the one thing I did not want.
What would you say your identity is now?
Now, I think I am a good I don't know, I think for my kids, we've been very open and honest through the whole journey, and they see the changes in me now. I'm a calmer person. Um, I think, my son actually uh, told me the other day, he was proud of me and that I was a strong woman, and he was proud of my resilience. And, that was just I
How
didn't
powerful.
recognize that, and for my kids to see something like that, it made me feel good, that maybe my kids and grandkids could see that there are healthy ways to go about things.
So, coming full circle with this interview, where would you say you felt those accolades in your body? When your son did say those words to you, where did you feel it in your body?
Oh, I felt that in my heart and my eyes. I kinda got teary-eyed, and it just made me feel very happy, and proud. Like, it's really been a journey, and there's a lot of unexpected things that, I came in for neuropathy, and my journey took a lot of turns that weren't expected.
Well, Rose, thank you so much for joining me on this Mother Nature's Doctor podcast. Your story is inspirational, as I said, and I really hope our listeners are able to glean what's important for them from your story, that they can grab life by the horns and their health by the horns and get after it themselves. So thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you for all your help this last year.
It's been an absolute honor and pleasure. Thanks.